In episode number 356 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover the newly announced, because of course we bought ours already, so they decided now it's time to fuck Daniel and Kelly over. It is the Nintendo Switch Lite.
We also have news about Warner Brothers' HBO Max streaming service, bringing all our favorite things into one place.
Our comic book review this week is the latest to-be Netflix adaptation, and that is Space Bandits #1.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to your 2017 and 2018 Podcast Awards nominated The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I am Rival Daniel this week.
This is my favorite week. Are you blue too? Because he's the only one who got that song.
It's the only Rival song. There's no other Rival song.
I am your Emperor Kelli. Is there a Palpatine song? Like,
well, that's it right there. It's whatever you want it to be. The way we format the show for any new brokettes out there is first we go through some news. We head into our Patreon shoutouts of the week, which are our thank yous to all of you who make the show possible. We do a comic book highlight of the week, and then we end it on the Brocat block, which is where Palpa Kelly and I have been.
But the very first bit of news, something you saw coming from a mile away, but we gave in and bought our Switch anyway. Through a video announcement, Nintendo has announced the Switch Lite, a version of the system that's strictly played in handheld mode.
So this will not have an HDMI port, It will not have a kickstand, It will not output to your television. This is strictly a handheld, this is their handheld moving forward. This is not, there is no 3DS Plus, there is no new DS, this is it.
Switch Lite is going to come in 3 colors, first being yellow, gross. The second one is gray, which looks pretty cool, and the third is my favorite, which is turquoise.
And because it does not come with these extra features, you do save money on the handheld version. The Switch Lite is going to come out on September 20th for $199.99.
What does the typical Switch cost now, then, with all those, just a few extra things?
I think they debuted at $300, but even if it's $250 to the average consumer, and from the many years, exactly, the many years I worked at GameStop, that is enough to have a parent go, we don't really need it to play on the TV. You can just get the handheld version, and they will buy that cheaper version of the system.
They haven't announced the weight of this yet, right? Because it could potentially be light in all sense of the word, correct?
Yeah, they usually end up featuring new little specs and upgrades to it, such as maybe a longer battery life, which this undoubtedly has, not needing it to go into the dock. And it is now one console, one piece, as opposed to needing the Joy-Cons to disconnect and communicate with those as well. So that's one less bit of hardware they need to build into this handheld, which then saves on battery. So it's a refined version if you only play on the go.
They did mention that because they're getting rid of the Joy-Cons, you're not going to have that rumble feature that you would in some games. So that is something to consider. I don't know that anybody really cares about the rumble feature.
Well, if you do, you just got to buy 2 Wii remotes, or I'm sorry, Joy-Cons. Because it's the same fucking shit. They're doing the same thing they did with Wii. And
of course.
And that's okay.
And you know what?
Make your money.
People eat it up. You know what else they're going to eat up? Is the special edition they have of this. I dodged a bullet with this, right? Not for me.
They're going to release a Pokemon game. It's going to be on a handheld. And they made damn well sure that there is a handheld that's going to exist for Pokemon Sword and Shield.
100%. So you get a light gray version of the handheld with cayenne and magenta buttons.
Cyan.
Whatever. Blue and pink buttons.
You're right. Yeah. Just call it what it is.
While sporting the 2 legendary Pokemon on the back of the system. So you get Sword Puppo and Shield Puppo.
They had something very similar with Diamond and Pearl, where it was kind of the etched designs of the character, kind of the outlines.
That was on what was that on?
That was the DS Lite, if I remember correctly.
I do remember that system.
So they went very similar to this. I'm not a fan of it, but it is a great seller. They can put any shitty design on this handheld, and now they will sell this version of the Switch along with the game. Both games will move consoles. It's going to bump up the Switch's sales.
They're not selling that shit to me. If they released a Pikachu edition, fine. I have to get it. Like, I'm obligated at this point, right?
They're teasing you with the yellow version of the Lite. You were like, oh man, like if they only put Pikachu's just the cheek, you would have been like, oh great.
Done.
Sold.
Perfect. You know what you need to do? We need to get the turquoise edition, and then you put a Bulbasaur sticker on it. It's perfect.
And you're exactly where you're good. See, now you're starting to think like a Bulba fan.
Yeah, I'm just been your wife for long enough. There's no fan here. If I were thinking of myself, I'd say I'll get the yellow one and put a Pikachu sticker on it and call it a day.
The thing is, you as a Pikachu console collector are a true fan of those consoles. Yeah. So you can't even fool yourself
I couldn't. I would know. My heart would know. Even if you got it and you're like, Kelly, this was special release, my heart would know.
It would know. Not the same.
No.
And there's got to be a Pikachu edition of this, and you will be on there.
They're going to do Pikachu editions of everything because suckers like me just buy it again.
Which is the one console you're missing that's Pikachu?
I think there's two that I'm missing. I'm missing the N64.
No, you got the blue N64 one, thanks to Bobby,
That's
remember?
right, I do. Oh, shit. I did. Thanks, Bobby. I forgot. Mom brain.
Christ.
Okay, so I'm missing the Game Boy Color. And then wasn't there like a Game Boy Advance?
There might have been. I know there was a gold and silver one which had Pichu, and it might have had Pikachu on a corner.
Yeah, I think so.
Those might be the one.
Those are the two that I'm missing. But for sure, the Game Boy Color. I think each of them is like $70 each on eBay. So I should just suck it up and like get it.
Yeah, well, you kind of can.
Right.
You know?
And then call it a day and then just say that I have every Pikachu console that there is because I'm insane.
Obviously, there's some criticism to this. I don't see how there could be because it is only another option for consumers. It's another option for gamers. The worst you can say is having a neutral stance on this and going, I'm not going to get it.
Right.
For me, I don't like having just a Switch handheld. I like having it on the TV. That's the primary way that I play when I very rarely play. I have to have it on the dock. It might as well not. The console to me is just the dock. And then I have that Pro controller, which is comfortable as fuck. I play Fire Emblem on that, and I love it, and that's all I need. But to anyone who doesn't care about those features, this is for you. This is what you need. This is a significant upgrade.
I'm the exact opposite from you. I have played it on the TV maybe twice in all the hours that I've put into Pokemon. And usually when I play it on the TV, it's because Leo's there and he'll watch it from the TV and not try to touch it. Whereas if I have it on the handheld, he's trying to grab it and all that kind of stuff. So this is, if I didn't already have the one that we have, right, this would be a big seller for me because I only play it on the go. I will say the criticism that I have for it is the great thing about the DS, it was that clamshell, right? Mm-hmm. So it still protected it, and now it's one solid piece. You're really going to have to get a case for it or be extremely careful because all it takes is one drop, right? And you're done. And that's the entire system. It's not just a piece of the system.
The screen is exposed at all times. Yeah. So especially if you have kids, that's one of those where you get that Nerf. I don't know if they still make them, but the Nerf accessories, mm-hmm. we used to sell the fuck out of those when the DS came out, because as soon as they dropped that DS, the hinge would break and your system would be, no longer working. Done. Depending on how you dropped it. So you got to get those Nerf cases for that system because this shit, and of course the screen protector. Mm-hmm. You're right though. That's one of those things where it's like, even if I were to get it, I would want it to be like in a wallet type of protection so that when I'm not playing it, it can be at least covered from, even fucking dust. Like, I'm that kind of guy.
Well, that's one thing that I appreciate about the Switch, the first version, the way that it is I play it and then when I'm done, I put it back in the dock, right? And then it's safe there in the dock. I don't have to worry about an additional case for it because it has its place that it goes.
It's not often that we cover video game news these days, but that was a pretty big announcement, I think, especially for us being Nintendo fans. Well, it's kind of a neat thing to know that there is that option.
You knew that it was going to happen too, and I remember that's why you didn't want to get the system, the first time around, because you said there was going to be a light version. And there is, but now are you happy that you got the first round?
Well, yeah, but back then there weren't these leaks of it's only going to be a handheld console. My thing was they better correct these Joy-Con issues, which there was a lot of connectivity problems with the system. And the other thing, of course, was the battery life was shit on it.
Right.
But then I realized I don't play this on the go, so the battery life doesn't matter. It's always plugged in, and it's on the console, and I'm like, all right, maybe there will be, and it would have been cool if they announced a console version of this where it had longer battery life, it was smaller, it was thinner. Then I would have kind of regretted my purchase. But at this point, I'm like, no, I wouldn't have bought that anyway. I would have gotten the console.
Except we got the Pikachu version, and you can never
That's how
regret
they fucking got you, yeah.
Fuck yeah, it was.
Got both of us.
I was like, don't need this. But there's a Pikachu edition. Fuck. It's like when we were watching the trailer for the Switch Lite, and I was like, well, good thing there's not a Pokemon edition. And you said, oh, there is. And I was like, oh my God, there goes all my money. And then I saw it was like Sword Puppo and Shield Puppo, and I was like, nah, fuck that.
Well, one trailer we did see this week, it dropped from Disney, is the sequel to the originally co-written by Paul Dini, and it is the sequel to Maleficent.
Mistress, I have a little bit of news.
Don't ruin my morning.
The first Maleficent was released in 2014. Beautiful movie. Not at all what we expected. Really took Maleficent, the character of Maleficent, and explained why she was evil, explained why she was doing all those evil things, and then turned around and made her a really likable character.
The one argument I see all the fucking time now is because villains are becoming more interesting, is they make them, one way to do that is making them sympathetic. You saw that with Mr. Freeze, and it's phenomenal. And now you're seeing this trend of people saying, why does every villain have to be sympathetic? Why can't they just be evil? Because it's more fucking interesting if you have something to digest, if you can see the other person's point of view, if you can understand why a villain is ticking in the way he does. The Joker film, the reason why it's getting so much buzz online is because it is a character study. It looks like it's deep diving. You're in the mind of Arthur Fleck as he dives into insanity. And this is what Paul Dini did with Maleficent. And now with the sequel, it's called Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. I don't think it was necessary, but it obviously made enough money, so why not make a sequel? I'm for that, and I'm going to go see it. But I know Paul Dini probably had no work on this, especially with the way that ended, and he didn't get credit for, at least screen credit for the first one. And something else that you and I had discussed back when we reviewed it many years ago in 2014 is that this was that non-love story Disney movie that Frozen is now getting credit for. Where Frozen was getting credit of sisterly love, and that's the love story there, this Maleficent was about essentially mother and daughter in a way. That was the love, and that's what ended up, saving the Sleeping Beauty. It wasn't the prince. It was someone who legitimately cared about
true love.
Exactly.
Like legitimate true love.
And people immediately defaulted to, romance. No, not romance. It's true love. And that was, I'm sure that was a Paul Dini thing.
I'm sure. 100%.
There's no way it wasn't. And it did not get, it's not recognized for that these days, unlike Frozen, which people talk about that.
Ugh, fucking Frozen. There's another one of those coming out too. Anyway, this trailer did not make me excited for this movie, though. I will say that. I don't think they presented it well, and I hope it's so much deeper than what we saw in the trailer, which was essentially, I'm going to marry this boy, no you're not, now I'm evil again.
What I told you while we were watching it is it's the plot recycled from the first one.
Yeah.
In which she does align herself against the kingdom once again, and Aurora's stuck in the middle. And now instead of the king going and commanding his country against Maleficent, it's now the queen. So there's a clash here between mother and mother, right? Which I'm like, okay, that's kind of neat, but it's still the same type of plot.
Right.
In the first one, it was all about a scorned lover against her ex, but in this one it's all about, no, I'm her mom, you're really not. So there's going to be that plot exploration about what is parenthood. Like, it's not necessarily, it's blood relation has nothing to do with it. So they're going to explore that, and Maleficent who was hurt by the king, does not believe that Aurora's love story is true, and she's afraid of her getting hurt because of it. The one bit that I was like, all right, this is fucking interesting, is at the end of the trailer, they reveal that she's one of, because in the first movie, I thought she was just another fairy. That's the way they made it. But in this one, they're like, no, you're a whole different species in a way. And there's her people somewhere else. Maybe they are fairy, but they're a different type of fairy that you never knew and they never explored in the first one or even in the original tale, as far as I know.
Right. No, I don't think that they did either. I didn't really see the original, like, animated movie.
Wasn't that even based on, like, one of the Grimm fairy tales?
Of course, they all are. All the original ones are. So as far as I know, no, they've never been introduced. So that'll add, an interesting aspect to this, right? Where now does she, stick with Aurora, who is this human, or does she just go off with her own people that she never knew existed? What's probably going to happen is that boy's going to break Aurora's heart because screw Prince Philip. He's
you think so?
Stupid. Yeah, and then Aurora's going to end up with one of the other fairy guys.
One of the other guys. To anyone confused, by the way, we mentioned Paul Dini. He's one of the co-creators to Harley Quinn. Wrote Heart of Ice, which starred Mr. Freeze. We're just talking about sympathetic characters. That's how you fucking do a villain who was initially, I think, Mr. Zero, and didn't have any of that backstory with Nora, and then the animated series ended up elevating the villain and the character. But if you are going to be watching Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, along with Palpa Kelly and I, it releases on October 8th.
Disney caused a lot of uproar this week. I won't even get into that mermaid stuff. But another trailer that made a lot of people really angry was the Mulan live action trailer.
It is my duty to fight.
So this is set to release in spring of next year. The only outrage I saw, and maybe you're more in tune with this, is that we didn't get any hint of Mushu or that those gods, the Chinese, is it the Chinese gods?
Yeah, it's their ancestors.
The ancestors at all in this movie. Now, some may argue that that's a movement to make Mulan the focus of the movie, making her the one who went through these motions and not needing help from a dragon.
So what I've seen, right, and fault of my own, I haven't actually gone and researched it. This is hearsay that I've heard through other people, seen it all over my Facebook, because I'm friends with a bunch of Disney heads. For all of you who have listened for a long time, you know this. So they are not going to have Mushu in the movie. They're not going to have songs, and supposedly Li Shang isn't going to be in there either.
It's that argument, and we're going to talk about this twice, of there's no originality anymore. And then when they try to tweak something to not have it be a faithful adaptation, a direct adaptation like Beauty and the Beast was for the most part, the live action one,
right?
Then people bitch. So do you guys want it to be a scene for scene live action remake, or do you not want it to explore and take chances?
So here's my thing with it, right? Here's where I'm coming from. They're trying to make it close to the original story of Mulan.
Okay.
Like the original Chinese tale, right? Which is awesome. But Mulan, Disney animated Mulan, is one of my favorite Disney animated movies. There are so many things that I like about it. So I think the problem everybody's having is they're still calling it Disney's Mulan. So your mind goes to that nostalgia, that comfort, those, how do you defeat the Huns without man, I'll make a man out of you. Like, how do you do that? Do I think that this can be an amazing story, and probably will be a pretty great story? The trailer looked like something you would expect from a kung fu movie, right? But it follows Mulan, who is being told you need to go this path, and she goes, obviously, and does her Mulan thing. Looks like she's been training in secret and all this kind of stuff, because that's where her passion is, right? So at the end of the day, it's going to be an awesome movie about women power.
So you're for this?
I am for this. I definitely, this is something that I want to see. Is it going to have that nostalgia piece like we're obviously seeing in Lion King or some of these other movies? No, it's definitely not.
Yeah, go ahead. If we're going to say something else.
You go ahead.
Where I kind of lie on this, before I saw the trailer, I was of the same opinion as Little Mermaid. The whole controversy came out about casting a black actor,
Right.
not only for Little Mermaid, but obviously her family. Like, I'm saying that as if like they can't be white, but I think they are going to be black as well. But the thing is,
it'd be genius. Sorry,
if they were white,
I'm just stepping in. If all of her sisters are a different race because they represent the 7 Seas.
oh, there you go. That'd be good. And they
God.
have different seasons.
I'm
Maybe
brilliant.
they might do that. I don't
Anyway,
know. Like
sorry.
if they did,
But they still need Samuel Jackson as the dad.
I thought it was going to be
Terrell. What was his name? I don't know. I don't remember his name.
but,
You know who I'm talking about.
yes. Well, regardless, Little Mermaid, I have no attachment to from the animated one. It's not one that I owned on. Our family owned on VHS, and I didn't really care for it, so I had no opinion on them recast because I had no plans on seeing Little Mermaid, and that was my thing with Mulan. I like the animated Mulan, but I'm like, why do I need to see the live action version? As a kid, I loved the Lion King. I'm not going to go see the live action Lion King.
You mean that quote unquote live action?
Of course, and the computer animated Lion King.
Right.
But in this case with Mulan, it was the same thing. I'm like, why? I don't know. I don't love the animated one enough. Unlike Beauty and the Beast, it's not at the level of Beauty and the Beast to go, oh shit, I better fucking.
No, but
I want to see how they translate this.
It's still so good.
But I saw the trailer and I'm like, all right, there's some shots in here that I'm like, they treated this earnestly. Like it's not just a shot for shot remake of Mulan. And there's some cool choreography from what I'm seeing so far in the trailer that I'm like, it's got me interested enough to, I'll go watch it in theaters with you. And I also want to, they have the eagle, that eagle from the villain.
Yeah.
So he's there.
Oh man, what's the villain's name? I forget his name.
Li Shang? Or is that the love interest?
That's the love interest. Shan Yu.
Shan Yu. And I'm hoping, do you think they'll do this scene of him going, you're the man from the mountain? Where you explained to me that the reason he's not surprised is because in his culture, women fight alongside the men. So to him, it's just, it's just another fighter.
From the mountain.
It's the soldier from the mountain. It's not the woman or whatever. It has nothing to do with any of that. He's just freaked out because he's like, oh, you're that fucking guy. That's the main thing. It's not, you're a woman and you did this to my army.
Right.
You're the fucking soldier that did this shit.
That movie's so good.
If they do that, if it's truly like, if you're going to do one part of the movie to translate, that's the fucking one.
Yeah. We'll see. I was excited from the trailer. I get why people are pissed off, right? Because it's not their Mulan. It's changing a lot from something that's very nostalgic.
Don't go fucking see it then.
Right. I mean, they'll probably still see it. And then they'll complain about it.
Well, if they see it and they pay for it, then they can complain about it. But until then, go watch your animated version if that's the one you fucking want.
You really don't like the animated version that much?
No, not as much as Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is like actual film.
Yes,
but I rate this shit like a fucking movie.
This is why we can't do ratings on anything.
No, not anymore now, yeah.
Compare it all to like the
Fountain
best
and City
of the best.
Lights. Beauty and the Beast and American
Mulan
Psycho.
Is great. I think that's like my second or third favorite. Like, okay, so where does Emperor's New Groove fit on there? Is that better than Mulan for you?
Mulan's better.
All right.
now there's peace.
Yes. Now there can be peace in our household. Wait, so what's like your second favorite animated Disney movie besides Three Caballeros? That
one's really fucking good. Yeah. I don't know. Like if I had to speak on a technical standpoint, it'd have to be Fantasia, right?
No, that's horrible.
It's a great movie. Like it's an animated.
I fall asleep
milestone.
every time.
I don't know what, I mean, that would have to be my second one. You get Chernabog with his demon nipples. Like, to be fair, it's Hunchback. Hunchback of Notre Dame is my second favorite.
Okay, Hunchback is pretty good. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. I was just thinking of another one that I like Hercules a lot, too. I know a lot of people don't like it.
If he just got some pootie tang, Paris would never have burned. He wanted that filthy gypsy. He was willing to let go of his religion and then forgive and...
Still would have burned it because he would have felt guilty after getting it.
And that's interesting as hell. Like, imagine that outcome. Like, oh my God, can we get 3 more hours? Let's see how he deals with the burning of Paris.
How he deals with the guilt of getting some.
All right, well, we're talking about villains now, right? We were talking about Frollo.
Yeah.
Well, one of the most popular comic book villains of all time is DC Comics' Joker. And we have a little bit of background on what they're planning on doing with this upcoming film.
The writer/director of the Joker movie, Todd Phillips, revealed that his version of the character has an entirely new origin story, not taken directly from any comic book.
A quote here from Todd Phillips. He says, quote, "We didn't follow anything from the comic books, which people are gonna be mad about. We just wrote our own version of where a guy like Joker might come from. That's what was interesting to me. We're not even doing Joker, but the story of becoming Joker. It's about this man." End quote. And this was from the Empire article, the magazine, which I really want to buy. Gorgeous cover on it. I've got to collect that thing. Goes on sale at the time we're recording this tomorrow.
My favorite part of his quote was, people are going to be mad about it. He could have literally said anything and tagged on, people are going to be mad about
Of course.
it. And that's 2019 for you.
Well, now that he said that this is an original story, not taken from the comic books, it's not directly the Killing Joke. And we know now by seeing the trailer that there's a sick mom aspect built into this. There's another love interest in here. So there's not a pregnant wife like the Killing Joke. And now it's like, okay, well, what's the next origin story that we know of? None of which are close to this. Like, we've got the gangster origin story. We've got the Mask of the Phantasm one. We've got the Scott Snyder one, in which it's maybe I guess it was disproven, but a kind of generational Joker where he has used the Lazarus pit to continue living. And there's always been this clown figure or this pale man in the history of Gotham.
The Pale Man?
Right, pretty much. And they're not taken from those. Instead, they're doing something new. So this is where we get, once again, the bitching about all those people that were saying there's no original stories anymore. Here's one. They decided not to take one of these Joker stories and adapt them to film. Instead, they're doing an original Joker tale. And these are the same people, too, that are saying the Joker should not have an origin. He should not have an origin, but if he does, it should only be directly adapted from the fucking comics. You're full of shit. You're a fucking idiot. Let them do something goddamn creative. Or don't fucking watch it.
Right.
Don't fucking watch it.
I think this is 100% the right move, because how much more can you do with that story if you're not tied to any limitations? Legitimately, their only limitation is there's this man, he goes crazy, dresses up like a clown, calls himself the Joker. Sky's the fucking limit.
And people that were saying that maybe this is, all right, they'll work this into their own DC. Anyone that is surprised by this has not been paying attention to this movie. This is already taking place with a Joker that's almost in his 50s, and he's turning into the Joker, and we have a little Bruce Wayne who's a kid. You think that same Arthur Fleck is going to be terrorizing Batman?
Right.
We had said before, we're probably never going to see Batman in this movie at all.
If we do, it'll be like Thomas Wayne.
Well, yeah, Thomas Wayne is definitely in it. Oh, you're saying like a Flashpoint Batman?
Yeah.
They're not going to go that comic book.
No, they're not.
But this is we're going to see little Bruce Wayne. We're going to see Thomas Wayne. And it's all about the corruption of Gotham that changes this man. And he is a product of Gotham's elite, I'm guessing, is what we're seeing from this. So that is the story. From that alone, you already know that this is nothing like any comic book, even The Killing Joke.
Right.
It's nothing like those. It might have been inspired by The Killing Joke, very loosely, though. At this point, with all we've seen, we've long known this. This is not a surprise.
Going into this movie, I feel like people, exactly like we've been talking about, right? But don't expect something that you've seen before. Don't expect an adaptation, exactly like they're saying. Go into this to see a great film that happens to be about a character that is the Joker. Right.
Like a Joker.
Right.
Who knows which one?
And the beauty in that,
it's not even Jack Napier.
The beauty in that, too, is even if you're not a Batman fan, then you're going to be able to step into this and enjoy it. Even if you have no background knowledge of the characters, of the comics, you just want to see a good film, again, you can step in and enjoy it. And I feel that's pretty brilliant on their part.
Did you see that Instagram post from Todd Phillips when he responded to a follower? They said, I don't know if you've read the comic books, but in the books, the Joker doesn't wear face paint. He actually gets into a chemical accident and it changes his whole form. And Todd just responded with, yeah, you may want to skip this one. But I like how, though, that same complainer, I bet you he also liked The Dark Knight, though.
Oh,
in
probably.
which there wasn't any bleached skin.
Right.
But also disliked Jared Leto's version, which is
bleached
literally
skin.
the fucking
Yes.
Killing Joke and all of that comic adaptation. So if you want your fucking comic accurate one, watch the fucking Suicide Squad 2.
Suicide.
Because he happens to have tattoos, though. That's too much. That's the part
and his
where-
grill. Don't forget his grill.
And the grill. In-fucking-sane. It comes out on October 4th. Go see it.
As if we don't already have enough streaming services to pay for, Warner Media has announced HBO Max, their latest streaming service set to launch spring 2020.
So they were upfront about this and said that additions to the service are going to include the massive loss that was to Netflix, and that is Friends, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Riverdale, including an original Riverdale spinoff, and more. So this is, when I read this, I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. This is new. This is cool. This is not enough yet to have me subscribe. But then they followed it up with the following.
Hold up. Fresh Prince wasn't enough for you?
No. I did not grow up. I watched Family Matters.
No.
And the Jeffersons.
No, you gotta watch Fresh Prince.
Never watched it.
We gotta watch it. You're
Full
gonna
House?
have to watch it.
I was a Full House guy, Mr. Rogers.
No, I did watch Mr. Rogers. You gotta watch Fresh Prince. What if they had The Nanny on there? That was kind of like the same era, right?
It'll depend on who owns it.
Oh, man.
Isn't that a Disney thing?
The Nanny? I don't think so.
What did it air on?
TV Land. That's what I watched it on. So, Warner Brothers will also be including programming from New Line, DC Entertainment, CNN, TNT, TBS, True TV, The CW, Turner Classic Movies, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth, and Looney Tunes.
This is when I said, all right, fucking sign me up. And
Here's my dollars.
It's not the DC Universe part. Like, this is cool. Like, that's a neat little addition, but it was the Turner Classic Movies. I don't have cable. That's great. I love Turner Classic Movies. I used to love that when I lived with my parents. And that is one that now I can access at any time once I sign up for the service. Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Tons of anime.
100%.
Looney Tunes, which we had that subscription as well, where there was all the Looney Tunes cartoons, and I enjoyed those.
Yeah.
So those were a great part of it. Cartoon Network? Are you fucking kidding me? That's the shit that I was like, this is gold right here. And True TV is just going to be Impractical Jokers.
Of course. But then you also have Adult Swim on there, which, like, what was that show that I used to watch with the chicken? Robot Chicken.
Chicken might be on there.
I love Robot Chicken. I mean, it's Adult Swim, so it better be on there.
This is hitting all kinds of demographics. I don't even know what TNT is. Like, what the original programming is. I don't watch it, but
Dynamite.
It's going to be something. And that,
Like,
I'm thinking
literal
that's going to
Dynamite.
be aimed at an older viewership or fan base.
You're missing my joke, but that's fine.
To anyone that saw the DC Universe portion of it, or at least, with the DC Entertainment part, Warner Media has said that HBO Max is not going to affect the DC Universe streaming service. And some of the comments I saw were going, well, why would I have two services? And someone replied with, well, it's not going to have the comics library. Okay, that makes sense. And I'm sitting here like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Because I know that the limited comic service is a huge sell for a lot of people. Not for me. I can't do digital comics, so I'm in the minority. But for a lot of people, that shit is what they use it for. They catch up on entire runs because it's literally pretty much every DC comic that's been released since the beginning of the company. But for me, it's all about that animated series and Young Justice and the original TV shows like Swamp Thing. So that's the shit that I'm signed up for. But they're both missing the fact that this does not mean that you're going to get Swamp Thing on HBO Max. It does not mean you're going to get Young Justice on it. None of those mean that any of this is going to be on there. You'll probably get some DC Entertainment shows, maybe some Teen Titans Go because of Cartoon Network. Maybe you'll get a little bit of Batman the Animated Series. But this is not going to be the whole library video format just moved over to HBO Max. They would, especially if they're not killing DC Universe, they're not going to move everything over. And me being a, DC beluga, I'm going to sign up for fucking both.
Of course.
Because I want Turner Classic Movies. I want Cartoon Network. I want Crunchyroll.
So HBO Max, is this still going to have HBO?
And it's going to have HBO.
So then you get your Curb Your Enthusiasm that you've already purchased all of them.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing. At least I own those seasons.
Right.
So I'm okay with that. But to anyone that already has HBO, that's kind of a nice upsell of here's an extra $2 a month and you get all of these fucking networks. That's how they did it with, it wasn't Funimation. I think it was also Crunchyroll, where you could only buy Funimation if you want for $6 a month. Or for $8 a month, you get Funimation and Looney Tunes and Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, and that's how we initially were on that subscription for a couple of months.
Right. I think it's really, really funny that, so remember back in the day, you had cable, right? But you only had like 3 channels, and then you could purchase additional channels. That's all we're doing now. We're just buying the streaming services that have the things that we want.
Yes and no. See, I see a lot of people going, well, we're back in the cable things. No, we're not, because you now have a lot of content at your fingertips. You can access it anytime you want, and you have way more of it for about the price or cheaper than what these, services cost. Because let's say we have Netflix, we have DC Universe, and we're, maybe getting HBO Max. What is that? Maybe $30 a month? Cable is still over $100.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Like, let's be real. This is not what people are trying to make it out to be of like, well, this is just cable. It's not cable again. It's better than cable.
It's 2019
I hate that fucking
cable.
argument. I can't stand it. Because I hear it all the time and no one thinks about it. Like, break it down for a sec. Break down the prices. Maybe if you do the sports channels, then it's comparable, but...
Right, but like, okay, so for example, my parents got away from cable, right? But now they have Netflix, they have Hulu, they have Amazon, whatever Amazon has. Dad has Sling TV, Dad has HBO. Like, he's paying as much as he was for cable.
Even then, is that really over $100? I don't think that is. No way.
A month? Yeah, probably. No. And then he gets some sports channels, which
now
are like
it's over
ESPN.
$100. Yes, now it is.
And so he might as well just get cable. And then he sits there every day and goes through 4 different streaming services, and he's like, "There's nothing to watch." And I'm like, "There's a lot to watch, Dad."
Even if he had cable, though, he wouldn't have that access that you have with these different streaming services, because you just point and click and watch it whenever you want. It's better now. I can't, anyway. Yeah, we're getting this. We're getting HBO Max.
Of course
Do you think it's interesting that they named it HBO Max as opposed to Warner Brothers streaming or WB Plus if they wanted to do like a Disney thing?
I mean, I think they probably did that because they already have such a big viewership for HBO, right?
It's a brand.
And so now you're just saying, hey, get a little bit more. But in addition to that, right, you have the people who don't have HBO, who maybe now this is a big draw to them because it's, I get HBO and all of these things, right? Because, right off the bat, hearing that title, this also includes HBO.
And rest assured now, we're watching Watchmen. I was going to wait for the Blu-ray. I'm fucking watching Watchmen.
We should still wait for the Blu-ray.
You don't want to watch Watchmen?
Of course I do. I'm just messing with you. Be like, no. Let's just wait.
Something else coming from Warner Brothers for all of our comic book collectors out there. If you're attending San Diego Comic-Con, if you're one of thousands of people going, DC Comics has unveiled 4 exclusive variants that are going to be available at the convention from July 18th through the 21st. If you're an attendee who signs up for the 1-year subscription of DC Universe, then you have the option of getting these variants.
All of them or just one?
They weren't clear on that. If I were to guess, you then have the option of buying one of those 4, all 4 if you want. Or maybe you get one of each. I really don't know how they're doing this.
So the variants they have are Young Justice Outsiders #1, Detective Comics #1000, Saga of Swamp Thing #21, and Doom Patrol #19.
And those are going to be at booth number 4545. The Young Justice Outsiders #1 is pretty much the animated poster of the show. Detective Comics 1000, I believe, is an original Jim Lee drawing of Batman on a gargoyle, and it's all in black and white plus inks. Saga of Swamp Thing is that image of him holding up that skeleton that you see all over the place, that pretty much the Swamp Thing TV show poster. And then Doom Patrol is them driving on the bus, also from the TV show, which you may see at your comic shop. I know they sent one of those to our shop. So they are promoting it with TV show posters of what you're watching, plus an original Jim Lee piece.
That's pretty cool. If you're going to be there, it's on our bucket list someday to go to San Diego Comic-Con. But if you're going to be there, you're interested in any of these, sign up. Yeah, 100%. We really enjoy the app.
That's neat and all, but I'm like, all right, so all of us early adopters, they're going to send these to us, right? Are you guys going to make good? Like, what's going to happen here? There's no way they don't make these available to us.
You're one of those guys.
There's no way they don't make this available. Like, if I were running DC Universe, it's like, all right, and what about because that question is coming up. What about Us that have adopted you. Oh, everyone that signed up for a year last year? Oh, you're good. It's on its way. That's how you fucking do it.
Or you say, yeah, you've gotten to enjoy it for all this time already.
And it's like, well, I can't argue with that.
No,
honestly.
you can't. And you're just like, yeah, I have enjoyed it.
But that is our final bit of news this week. Let's head into our Patreon shout-outs of the week.
This week, we have 4 shout-outs. The first one goes out to Brian, whose Twitter handle is at BrianShaup1.
Brian retweeted the best bottle cap challenge yet. Have you seen those already?
Yes. I've only seen one.
Have you seen the chocolate one?
No.
So what's the one you saw? Someone like kicks off the bottle cap?
Yeah, I saw Kendall Jenner on a jet ski.
There's one of a Mexican lady throwing a chancla, and it happens to ricochet off the bottle cap, and it takes it off. And it's like perfect accuracy. But then the best one yet is that meme of Batman slapping Robin, the comic panel, but instead it's the bottle and he's fucking bottle. Takes it right off.
That's pretty amazing. That is the best one.
Next shout out goes out to Kat on Instagram at Katshaw.
She posted a 4th of July video.
If you want to see some neat photography and a neat 4th of July video with fireworks and everything, make sure to follow her on Instagram, and it's spelled at KATTSHA. So some photography on there, and make sure to follow.
Our next shout out goes out to Matt, whose Twitter handle is at Mr. Forklift.
He tweeted out, quote, "Weird tale from hashtag WSOP main event, World Series of Poker. Guy shoves all in blind prematurely, exposes his cards, and rightfully gets a 1-round penalty. Then drops his pants and says, 'Now I'm really exposed.'" This guy's my hero. And throws his shoe at the ceiling and bounces off the dealer for a full disqualification. Must be nice to waste $10,000. End quote. That's not a waste. That guy's history. He made history. And I guess now I'm fully exposed.
I read this and I'm like, that's something that Daniel would do.
Sir, please. Sir, please yourself.
And they're like, you win it all.
He wins. Makes it to the next round. I'm guessing the guy was drunk, or
I'm sure he was.
If he wasn't drunk, he's an idiot.
Or he just doesn't fucking care.
Yeah, it might be a millionaire.
He just got so angry. He's like, well, here's my fucking penis
now
on TV.
I'm fucking imposed, you asshole. Yeah, I don't know the context. I got to see that fucking clip.
We got to find it. I'm sure it's on there somewhere.
Next shout out goes out to Jared on Twitter at SpoonSandwich or on YouTube at youtube.com/Jared Monroe.
He tweeted, quote, "Great UFC card tonight. Witnessed history with an amazing knockout and a great split decision championship bout. At Reasons I'm Broke, thanks for the invite as always." End quote.
Yeah, he came out for the second time ever to our monthly Ale House UFC events. And that Sunday last week, it was the fastest knockout in UFC history.
How fast?
I think it ended up being 3 seconds.
Oh, shit.
And what ended up happening is it was a brawler versus a wrestler. Mm-hmm. They were fighting. And they run out from corner to corner, right? All right, ready, go. And then they come out. And normally most people are like just testing each other for fucking 3 minutes. But in this case, the brawler goes in knee first in the air. The wrestler also reacts as first, before even seeing him about to do that, as I'm going to go straight for the legs.
Oh, fuck.
Well, his head was down, his knee was up, and it was at the perfect angle where head down, knee up, boom, got him in the fucking head, instantly fucking out. And the reason it was 3 seconds is because then you have to prove, oh wait, he's not going to get back up. The ref has to come over and call it. So he goes over, immediately punches him twice in the fucking face. He's fucking stiff. He's not limp. He is stiff from that fucking blow to the goddamn head. That's when the ref finally calls it. Mm-hmm. Fastest knockout in UFC history. We all freaked out in the Ale House. It was amazing. If it's in a tweet, like you can see the celebration even. The guy was kind of a dick. Like when he calls it out, he goes over and also like taps him out himself. It's like, get in your fucking corner and fucking take your win. But there was a lot of shit talk before it, so maybe that might have been why. The wrestler also won his previous match through kind of dubious means, a lot of people think. So that's another reason why he was not the favorite.
Dubious.
It was a fun card. It was a really good one. And Maceo and Jared both came out, and we had our food and drinks, and it was a good time. We saw some great matches.
Was there a lot of gay stuff too?
Not this time.
Oh.
Like some UFC matches get kind of gay, where like, oh, I'm gonna put my hand. Yeah, not a lot of wrestlers is what you're asking.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But thank you so much to Jared, Matt, Kat, and Brian for your Patreon support. If you too would like to support us each month for just $1 a month, head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimbroke and get your shout out every month.
But of course, the best thing you can do is reach out to us on Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke, at Kelli. Let us know what you thought of the show. Let other people know about the show. You can also be heard on the show, Patreon supporter or not. You can leave us a voicemail through speakpipe.com/thereasonsimbroke. You can also find a link in the description.
Let's head on over into our comic book review for the week.
This week, we're reviewing Space Bandits number 1 of 5. As you mentioned in the very beginning of the show, this is the newest Netflix adaptation from Mark Millar.
Mark Miller.
Oh, JK.
Who's the art and colors by?
Art is by Matteo Scalera, and the colorist is Marcelo Maiolo.
So this is essentially an outlaw story in space.
In the 80s.
That's the thing, and they explain it in the comic that the reason that their style is in this, they say that the signal reaches that point of space so much longer than after whatever happened on Earth. So this is far off in the future. They're seeing these styles, and that's what they're dressing as. It's influence, right, with celebrities and everything.
Right.
Even though there's aliens and craziness going on, they're like, oh, this is the era, it's the 80s. So they're on the Lionel Richie spaceship. So if you grew up in the 80s at all or familiar with that era, there's a lot of references in here. This more or less this is space in the 80s. And now there's bandits and outlaws, and there's a hustle type of scam going on here with our main characters, except one gets screwed over, and there's the story. Like, this is the setup.
Could you say it's the Spadies?
It is the Spadies. That's perfect. Mark Miller? Fucking there's your marketer right here.
The Spadies.
Should have called it that shit. Space Bandits. No, Spadies.
It's a terrible title. Don't call it the Spadies. This was really cool. I enjoyed the first issue. I didn't even know this was a thing. I read it because the cover looked cool, and I was like, what's Lionel Richie doing on the cover?
I like the flat tops too from all these characters.
So really cool. It's going to be a book about strong female characters, obviously, but the way they both get screwed over, I think, is really interesting. And of course, they have to end up on a prison planet, and obviously they'll become best friends and break out.
Yeah, there's a number of characters that they introduce into this. I do like the artwork with the use of color, especially because it does fit that 80s era type of vision that you want for these. Even though you're seeing spaceships, these spaceships are also stylized to have fucking human faces or alien faces on the front of the ships. In space, it's a giant dead carcass that they then mine and use as a prison.
A giant lobster.
Right. There's a lot of like weird, neat ideas in here from Mark Miller that once again gets me to ask the question, especially after Sharky, the bounty hunter, what kind of budget is Netflix going to put behind these original shows?
Right. It's got to be a pretty big budget. But there's not going to be any smoking in this, so...
No smoking?
No.
And I bet you in 20 years there won't be drinking either.
Probably.
I see that in comics now. Like, there's no more smoking, really. But you see characters drink like a fish, and I think in 20 years that's going to be another change, too.
Well, you saw all the people pissed off about the smoking in Stranger Things 3, right?
No, the cop, right? The
cop
was...
Yeah. I think it was.
Why are they
cop.
fucking pissed?
And people are like, oh, Netflix. And so Netflix came out and they're like, okay, fine, we'll cut back on it.
Oh, Netflix what? What's the fucking argument?
You're I think like a kid smokes in it or something. And they're like,
yeah, it's the fucking 80s.
Our kids can't be smoking. That's what everybody's argument is. It's like, it's the 80s. That's what you did, right? And People are
It doesn't
pissed.
make it right. No, but this is a
So-
fucking adaptation
Yeah.
and it takes place in the goddamn 80s.
So-
Fuck, don't watch it. That's all.
So Netflix was just like, okay, we'll cut back. So there can be no smoking in this.
Sad.
Hashtag depressed.
Well, yeah, we don't see any smoking in space, although, I don't know, I didn't expect it. It's still futuristic.
I get it. So they don't smoke because they're like, no, but we know better.
Yeah, but the flat tops are cool, though. Like,
Yeah.
and I bet you see some cone boobs, like Madonna style.
Oh, yeah.
Those
They'll
better
be,
be
they'll
there.
be somewhere.
I do recommend this. It's going to be a 5-issue miniseries, as you
Mhm.
mentioned earlier. So much like Mark Miller's other works, you're eventually going to see this on Netflix. So be ahead of the curve. Like
Yeah.
whether it's a movie or a TV show, check these out just to see if it might be something that you're going to enjoy when it hits
Mhm.
Netflix eventually, because everyone has Netflix. And I think I do recommend Space Bandits, especially if you've been liking Sharky, even though it's a whole different premise.
Mhm.
This is way more stylized. I think
It's very similar.
it's way more
Yeah.
fun in a way.
Yeah.
Sharky's kind of a Lobo in space, and that's cool. If you like that kind of fun, you have it. Bounty Hunter or Spadies
Spadies.
is more, I don't know, it's
It also
Higher
follows,
energy.
It also follows ladies. So it's still Spadies. Because it's space ladies.
are we calling it Spladies then?
No, that's too much. That sounds weird.
It's try hard.
It's try hard.
Yeah, it's what the kids call it when you try hard. It's try hard. Just Spadies.
Yeah, but I mean, Spadies is also with ladies too. Listen, I'm cool. Just tell me I'm cool.
You're cool.
Thanks.
But then you got to spell it Spadies. Because
Yeah.
it's a double meaning. That's how you do it. If you're not going to
Okay.
do Spladies, you got to at least do the spelling.
But I can't spell. I failed 5th grade spelling.
But there you have it, everyone. There's your comic book highlight for this week. This is where we head into the more personal side of the podcast, where Papa Kelly and I have been. It is the Broquette Block.
There have been some exciting things that have happened with us this week, but first and foremost, we are once again in the nomination period for the 2019 Podcast Awards.
Throughout this month, up until July 31st, head on over to podcastawards.com. And all you need is an email address. You can vote for us under Games and Hobbies and People's Choice. So we're trying to get nominated for the 3rd year in a row for the Podcast Awards. We haven't won yet, but we have gotten nominated twice. And that's thanks to the Broquettes out there. The Broquette Corps have come out in full force. And now there's more Broquette Corps members than ever. So we're hoping that, we're hoping to first get nominated. That's the number one goal. But as you're filling out this nomination form, make sure to check off that you want to be a voter, because they'll randomly select people that voted to also be on the panel to vote on each category winner. So more Broquettes that are in there, the higher the chance that we'll get the Games and Hobbies winner, or hopefully People's Choice, although that one's way more difficult. But, we're focusing on both, so why not? Let's give it all a shot.
If you have 5 minutes to spare, this would really help out the show. Like we said, we're at least hoping for the 3rd year in a row that we get nominated, but ultimately we would like to win.
And I do want to thank the Broquettes, too, for spreading the word, honestly. Like, podcast awards aside and all of that, July is shaping out to be not only the best month of downloads for 2019, but it's making an argument for being the biggest month of the show's history in
Wow.
downloads. Like, we're, only in the first couple of weeks in July, and I'm like, damn, like, by the time this episode launches, we will be sneaking up on the second best month in 2019. And then the first, which I think, I'm like, by looking at the numbers, if the trend continues, we're going to eclipse the best month in 2019, which I believe is like the 3rd highest in the show's history. So I'm going to have to crunch the numbers. And if we top the best month in 2019, I will have to really look at it and go, okay, let's look at the, since 2012 would have been our best months, and really look into it. And this is all credit to the Broquette Corps for telling your friends, telling anyone you know that might be interested in what we talk about every single week. So that's more effective than a tweet, than, an Instagram image that we put up, than a Tumblr post. A word of mouth is the most effective thing in getting more people on the show. So if you've been doing that, I really appreciate it. Kelly really appreciates it. And anything to get more Broquette Corps members, if anything, to give them something else to enjoy each week.
100%. Definitely keep doing what you're doing. As Daniel mentioned, it goes so far. It means so much to us to have your support.
But let's go on the more personal side of Palpa, Kelli, and I. We've got a couple of things back and forth here. Do I want to go into a fucking rant right away?
Maybe.
Well, I'm going to go on a fucking rant right away.
Go on a fucking rant right away.
Jeff Johns, everyone.
Jeff fucking Johns.
Leave Jeff Johns alone. He's our friend.
Leave him alone.
He's our buddy. He follows us on Twitter.
He does? Well, he follows you.
I share the Twitter account with you.
Oh, okay.
It is Palpa, Kelli, and I, so he follows us. He's a friend. And I've seen a lot of shitting of Jeff Johns on Twitter lately.
No.
And I don't appreciate that.
I don't appreciate it
a lot of people
either.
are going, well, he's working for Disney. He's working for the MCU. He's a snake. I'm like, no. This is where I separate myself from the rest of the DCEU fandom, because there's a key difference between where we sit and where the Snyder Cut movement sits, which we're a part of as well. We're there with you, but here's the difference, is they're calling him a snake. They're calling him someone that purposefully ruined the DC Extended Universe. And I said, no, fuck off with that shit, because he has done more for DC fans through the over decade of comic books, the comics of this lore that he has created for DC fans, than what we've gotten from the DC Extended Universe. It's been over 10 years that Jeff Johns has contributed, and he's still doing it with Doomsday Clock. That if you're truly a DC fan, you appreciate Jeff Johns. The movies have nothing to do with where he lies on Disney or Warner Brothers or DC or Marvel. It's very clear if you've at all been reading any fucking comic books, even in the last month, because Doomsday Clock is a thing. It's something that he's curated and taken Watchmen and been very careful in how he implements it into the DC universe and the rest of these heroes. If you read that, you understand he is DC through and through. It's a very simple concept. Never call him a fucking snake. Never call him someone who betrays DC Comics. He's done more for the fandom than what many hundreds of tweets that I've put out in favor of DC Comics have done, than all these episodes of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast have done for DC Comics. That's how much of an influencer he's been for the world and how much good he's done for the DC universe. None of that shit should ever fly, and I don't want to see that shit. I will argue it.
But I don't read the comics. I just watch the movies.
That's the fucking difference. Only the movies count. That's the main. It is not the main fucking thing. The comics are gonna forever they're gonna last longer in history of these characters. Those are gonna be the things that people look back on, and the comics are gonna be what inspire future story. It's not gonna be a movie or 2 or 3 or 28 like the MCU. It's gonna be it's gonna be the stories. It's gonna be the writers. It's gonna be the authors. It's gonna be the artists, the inkers, the colorists, the editors. These are the people that are gonna inspire these stories for the years to come. And Jeff is a huge contributor to the DC lore.
Do you feel better?
Until I see that goddamn tweet, that next tweet that fucking calls out Jeff Johns for that shit. Never call out Jeff for that. Don't fucking do it.
I had something happen to me this week that created as much rage as you're feeling right now. Rage and sadness intermingled and broke my heart.
What happened?
Leo skinned his knee for the first time in his baby life.
Yeah, that was a rough one. It was a rough one. And I only saw the aftermath.
He just tripped and he fell. And I was so sad. And I had to hold him in his little crocodile tears. And he kept pointing to his knee. And I'd have to put the bandage. I had to put the bandage on it. I had to kiss it, right? And then I had to put the little bandage. And then he wanted the bandage off. And then he wanted the bandage on. And then he wanted it off. And then he wanted it on again. And then I had to come off again.
He's probably trying to see if it's fixing it.
Maybe.
You know, I think that's what his brain is.
Well, one of the things that helped him, I think, is we're at my parents' house when it happened, and my dad has a big scrape on his leg from something he was working on. So then dad could be like, look, see, I have one too. And then Leo was like, oh, that's what's wrong with my knee. So today I still had spray from my ears because I have to spray it with saline solution every day to keep it clean. So I just sprayed his knee, and then like it became a fun game, right? Of, oh, I got this scrape, let me spray it with this spray.
There's a positive outcome to this, but
yeah,
man, I still haven't seen. Yeah,
he's gonna have to learn. This is just life, right?
Yeah, no, I totally get it, and I haven't been there yet where I've seen him scrape his knee, and I think that's probably gonna fuck me up some. But from what I've heard on like a podcast like Cup to Cup, they do dad tips every week, and one of them is anytime they get hurt, you distract them with, "Oh, bet you can't catch me," and you run away.
Right.
And he's not old enough for that, but I feel like maybe we can implement something like that. And that's, I guess, my plan. I don't fucking know. Like, I've never dealt with this.
Well, the way that I don't know, get through it, right? Because it breaks your heart every time you see your child get hurt. But that's what life is. And that sounds horrible to say, right? But life is, there's going to be many more scraped knees. There's going to be many more bruises. I was cleaning the fucking blender and like sliced underneath my fingernail, right? Like, disappointments and those kind of things happen. It's our job as parents to be there and to show him how to get through that. And if I spend his entire childhood keeping him from falling or keeping him from experiencing those things and learning how to work through them, then he's not going to function as an adult. So while it breaks my heart, I can't sit there and cry and say, "Oh no, you can never play on the back porch again," right? I have to say, "Oh no," and kiss his knee and say, "Okay, let's cover it up. Let's, keep it clean. Let's do all these things. And then let's get up and play again."
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure you haven't done this parenting thing before?
My mom says that all the time. She's like, "You're just a natural mom." And I'm like,
"You're a natural mom. You're a supernatural mom."
You're so sweet. Thank you.
It's true.
I try. True. It's hard. I'm tired all the time.
You're a natural. Once again, you're a natural mom.
Every moment of my life, I'm tired. Like, I sleep 6 hours and I'm like, wow, what a great night.
What year is this?
As I'm like shaking because I'm just drinking so much coffee.
There's not to bring this back down, but I feel like this happens every now and again. What do you call it? The perfect storm. But there were 4 subscribers at the comic shop that I had to cancel because there were so many weeks of non-communication and non-pickups that it was a massive pile. I sent you the picture, and I'm going to tweet it out. But it is a massive amount of books, and I'm like, it's got to be over $1,000 worth of comics, and it's one of those things where it's like, I don't mind if you don't want to pick up your books, but fucking say something. Don't just leave it. And because that's the way our system works, the way we do it at our shop, we give you the benefit of the doubt for an extra week. So that's 5 weeks total of non-pickups, because a lot of people make it in once a month or whatever it may be. So after that, then we try to stop the bleeding and we cut off orders, but there's still a month or 2 of orders that are going to come in from titles that you can't change the final order cutoffs for. So either way, you're in the red on that subscriber for those amount of comic books. So that's my one thing. I put up that image of just, if you ever do plan on dipping out on your subscription for comics, let them know as soon as possible. It's part of being an adult. Like, I can't stand the ghosting thing of I guess they're too embarrassed to admit that they can't afford these things.
They just don't like confrontation either. Or
it's a lack of confrontation, or they think that they're going to say, "No, but you have to buy these." That's not going to happen. At least, I don't know. I doubt many shops do that because I see the same story anyway. But it's like, just tell them, like, "Look, I'm out of the hobby, or I can't afford these, so I have to cancel." And I've had very few subs over the history tell me that. Be straight up. Cool, man. I appreciate you letting me know. That is literally it. Be a grown-up.
Right.
Be a grown-up. And that's my main thing. I had that happen, and that was the perfect storm where it's like, God damn it.
Aww.
A huge sub plus 3 that were moderately sized. Like, it sucked. It's a part of the business, though. But whatever bit I can do, if I get one extra person at some part of the world that tells their comic shop after they can't afford it, to just let them know as soon as possible, I've done my bit. Otherwise, if you haven't been to your comic shop in a while, pay them a visit, pick up your comics, buy a little extra something. That's all. That's all I got to say. Final thing I have here on the Brocat block is friend of the show, Manu from the Exiles Network and also the Film Exiles podcast. He celebrated a birthday this week.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you, Manu. Huge friend of the show. Thank you so much for your support, and also to the rest of the Exiles Network and friends of for listening to the show, for being a part of the Brocat Core, and also for helping out other members of not just the Snyder Cut movement, but people who appreciate movies, films, superheroes, whatever it may be. In this case, Manu for the Exiles Network. Happy birthday, man. And I hope it was a great one. And this is your shout out right here from Palpa Kelly and I. We hope you had a lot of fun and for many more to come.
But guys, with that, we will wrap up our podcast for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, you can find us on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke, at Palpa Kelly with an I.
As a quick final reminder, please be sure to head on over to the podcastawards.com and vote for the Reasons I'm Broke podcast under games and hobbies. And also People's Choice. Make sure to check yourself off as a voter. You have until July 31st, just a couple more weeks, and then the actual voting period starts. But now you can nominate us. So make sure to do that. I've been Rival Daniel.
And I am your Emperor Palpa Kelly.
And Brokehead Core.
All will be well.
Smell you later.
That's so hot.